Certified stoner, 7 days a week. Green and sticky, make those lungs feel weak. Yeah, we smoking on that green and sticky. Roll that shit up in a blunt, smoke that green and sticky. Give me everything you got of that green and sticky. Burn it up, never catch a charge. Roll it fat and extra large. Put this blunt up to your face, touch your lips like a sweet cigar. Wax on top, I wanna fly. I like that keep when it's inside. Smoke in my mouth, look in my eyes. Feeling so slumped, looking so high, back so low. Like a surprise, hit up the plug and I advertise. I want you to bring that big loud back. Dropping in my old garage. Need that green, making me scream. Out in public, feeling so mean. I don't cook, I don't clean. I order that takeout like a king. Blow it up, light it up, smoke deep inside of me. Quick exhale for a let it get the best of me. I never ever cough unless the devil was about to be. I roll another one for a let it hit a clown on me. Talk your shit like that trash. Ask for a hit cause I smoke that gas. You really ain't never gonna beg me for a thing. I ain't frontin' you shit, I don't play them games. Now get
What's up, my tokers, jokers, and smokers? Welcome back to another edition of the Daily Chronicles, y'all. Today, my guest is Kristin Souza from Middletown, Connecticut, yo.
Hello.
What's up, Kristin? Welcome to the show.
What's up? Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you. Sugarleaf. That's what I wanted to get to. Sugarleaf. Tell me more about Sugarleaf.
Yes. So I own a small retail store. Well, it's not small, but I have a retail store in Middletown, Connecticut. It's been open about 2 years now. And we sell CBD wellness products from local, hemp producers in the state and in Massachusetts. Some local glass artists have their work in here. So we try to highlight all American glass art, no production in here. And then just local artisans. So acrylic paintings, candles, jewelry. It's very similar to a smoke shop, but it's got more of like a gift shop kind of Main Street feel to it. So that is my store.
That's kind of what I would want to see. You walk down Main Street, you walk into the little tiny, what I want to call a half glass door, if you will. You walk into the shop and you're immersed in this little, I don't know if I want to call it like a mini bazaar, but like almost like a little mini bazaar of cannabis.
Absolutely. And that was really important to me to be like right in downtown. We have this really great like Main Street area. So I've got a little bakery next to me. There's this great Italian restaurant across the street. A smoothie shop is kind of diagonal from me. So I very much wanted to, for lack of a better word, mainstream it. They tend to put dispensaries and things off in like the outer skirts of town. And I very much thought it was important to be like right in the middle of everything, as family friendly as one can be when you're cannabis adjacent, but breaking the stigma around that. So like my 9-year-old daughter is frequently here with me. So it makes folks feel comfortable bringing their kids in. It's not like, this clandestine store where you have to hide your kid in the corner and the glasses in a back room. It's, it's very just part of the town.
Being made in the shade while getting paid, if you will. Do you feel that cannabis is going a certain way in Connecticut? Like you guys are a little bit behind Michigan here, not saying that like it's a race. I think that it should have just all happened at once, but I digress. In Connecticut, there's medical and there's adult use, correct?
Yes.
What are the parameters for each?
So with, medical, gosh, I should get the timing right. I think it was 2013. I think we've had medical.
Okay.
Adult use was just last July. So for medical use patients, you work with someone that can certify you to get a card, and then you register that with the state, and then you were able to go to one of the dispensaries throughout the state and get your medicine. As of July, they legalized adult use, but we had no adult use dispensaries. So for about 18 months now, you could legally possess and smoke it, but there was nowhere to purchase it unless you were a medical patient. So that was incredibly bizarre. We all but sent folks either to, work with people they already knew from life, or to go out of state. So a lot of people were going either to Maine or Massachusetts. I would say maybe it was January 10th, I believe, when we opened our first kind of hybrid. So some of the medical were allowed to flip and become a hybrid, adult use and medical. And so that's what we have right now. There are 7 dispensaries in the state of Connecticut that will serve both adult use and medical. More will open up.
I still have a hard time trying to figure out how that's not entrapment. You know what I mean by the government and shit, because it's okay. You can do what you want. But you can't buy it in your state. You can't get it in your state, and you can't cross state lines to get it. But go ahead and do whatever the fuck you want.
Oh, that was the funny part. We had billboards telling folks to go to Massachusetts.
No shit.
Politicians. Oh yeah, we had politicians giving quotes to newspapers about hitting Massachusetts dispensaries, and all of us that knew were like, kind of giving some weird advice there, because that whole crossing state lines thing, you shouldn't be a politician advocating for that per se, but yeah.
Well, who the fuck do you think controls the police? Think about what I'm saying here. Police and whatever. The point is, POL,
But yeah, it was bizarre as hell. Connecticut's definitely got some bazaars, farmers markets, events that aren't necessarily regulated, and they're fabulous. And, but they're not, it's not something that like the state of Connecticut sanctioned per se. So.
I ask, okay, let's say that I come from Michigan, not carrying anything on me, and I go to Connecticut. Let's say I visit your store. I come to buy something or whatever have you, okay? Once I get to Connecticut, what am I allowed to carry on my person?
You can have up to an ounce and a half in your locked glove box. And I want to say it's a higher amount at your house. I have to fact check myself.
What about concentrates?
See, they got really funny with that. And as far as like the parameters, there's a limitation when you go to the dispensary on what you can take.
Right.
But what you can have on your person, they all but said, like 14 pre-rolls would equal this amount. With concentrate, it was something that was comparable to like a quarter of an ounce of flour. So they were very non-specific around that. And I haven't seen anyone having that type of enforcement as far as like having something on their person unless it was enough to be deemed that you were selling it.
Right,
I really haven't seen that type of a crackdown, but we were making fun of that because it was like, okay, you defined flour, you defined pre-roll, but what about concentrates? What about drinks? What about gummies? What about candies? So.
Well, I think that when the laws were drafted, quote unquote, against the plant itself, it was just the plant itself. So the actual plant matter is the only thing that's illegal. That's what I think I need people to understand. Okay. Technically, dabs aren't. I mean, yes, they're all THC. Yes, they're technically weed. But the only thing that is federally illegal, that is on the scheduled drug, is the plant. That you got to understand that. They're trying to add more, but when in reality, they need to be taking more off. That's kind of the thing. Now, going back on that, something that a buddy of ours, maybe you know him, maybe you don't. I know Caleb knows him, but Chillinois podcast, my dude Cole, okay? He looked at it and he pointed something out to me a couple months ago. He goes, listen, how come everything on the scheduled, on scheduled drug list nationally promotes happiness? You know what I'm saying? But however, everything that they're pushing to you, pharmaceuticals, death is a side effect.
That is really well said.
That's well and I looked at that and I go, it's the same with food, because look at it this way. You cannot collect your own rainwater. That's fucking fishy. Okay.
Yes.
That's fishy. All right. They don't want you growing your own chickens. They don't want that. They don't want you having your own cows. We won't even talk about what just happened in Texas. Okay. 18,000 cows just died like that. Because of mass farming. They want you buying your food from the store at their prices and eating their bullshit. What do you mean by that? I'll explain. When I make a loaf of bread at home, okay, I only have to put 5 ingredients in the motherfucker. 5. That's it. The loaves of bread that you get at the store, damn near close to 50. And some of those things, they're just made up bullshit fillers so that it doesn't go bad. You know what I'm saying? I can tell you this. I make my own butter. I make my own bread. I get farm fresh eggs. I get meat from a local purveyor. I don't even really need to go to the grocery store for much. During the summer, I grow my own vegetables. I can my shit. I mean, my grandparents would be proud as fuck.
I was just going to say. You're not wrong about that. And my friend owns a small bakery, and she was saying with the licensing, right? She does everything. Her father owns a farm. It's all farm fresh eggs. She makes the bread from scratch, all of that. The amount of, excuse my language, the amount of shit she puts up with from the health department and requiring like cottage food licenses and things to even participate like in farmers markets or vendor fairs, it's wild to me. Whereas you could show up with that poison Wonder bread and no one's going to say shit because it's prepackaged and you got it from Stop and Shop. It's just crazy to me.
Well, I look at it this way. So what if they know about something that we aren't privy to just yet? For example, what if there's an additive that creates a domino effect down the road, and that person that would want to see the issues knows that, okay, if you show up with a certain bunny on your logo, with bread, and we all know that company, you know what I'm saying? Or Sarah, you show up with like that prepackaged, that very recognizable bread, so they know that that's already got that ingredient. So yeah, they're fine. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like at a cop's discretion with weed, right? So like, if a cop pulls you over and say you're not smoking, but your car smells like smoke, I need people to understand. And let's bring it in close real quick. Here we go. Just for this. All right. Just because a police officer smells marijuana on you, doesn't matter what state you're in, it does not give them probable cause to search your shit. That you absolutely need to understand. But yeah, you have to understand that just because you smoke weed in your car does not give them probable cause to search your car. It does not matter what state. Okay. Understand that. Okay. A. B. Do not let them search anything without a warrant. Period. That. Don't just those two things. Oh, and number 3, shut the fuck up. Don't say anything to them.
That is probably the most important. Yes.
I love it when cops, it's like, okay. I just, it's funny now. I love what they do. Love my men and women and whatever you identify as in blue. But, at the same time, like, just leave me the fuck alone. That's really it. I'm not out here doing it. Just leave me the fuck alone. I'm just smoking weed.
I said, I've got 2 kids. One's 9, one's 19. And the older one's in college now. And I'm like, shh, like, shut the fuck up. Like, yes, no, don't give more than you need to. You definitely don't need to go off on these rambling streams of consciousness to a police officer. Like, just
no, you let me do that.
Girl. Yeah, exactly.
Let me do that.
Let me ramble to them, please.
Well, I look at it this way. Like, honestly, I'm a big dude. Okay, I'm 250, 260. I'm like 6'3", 6'2", depends if I'm wearing my heels or I'm a pretty big dude, right? My point is, like, a lot of the police officers that I've met in my life aren't very big dudes. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm not saying I'm intimidating. I'm just saying, or if you're a person and you pull somebody out of a car and they tower you, you're probably not going to jail today, buddy. You know what I mean? Like, that's... I didn't know you were that tall. I read the license, but, fine. But, I just...
like, hey there, how are you?
Sorry, get back in the car.
As someone who's 5'3", I could relate to that.
I had a friend. Oh my God! I just read in the news actually that there's this gentleman, and I forget what state he's from, but he spent, I think it was upwards of $170,000 to gain 3 inches. Okay, so he was 5'3", right? All right, and then he went and got the surgery done. We're talking, months of excruciating fucking pain. It was a massive surgery. It cost him $170,000. He went from 5'3" to 5'8". Sorry, so it's 5 inches.
Okay.
I don't know if that's worth the cost of a what? Plus, I want to know, what do you do where you've just got $170,000 laying around?
Is there a payment plan? Now I have questions, like one of those care
Like,
credit cards.
I understand that the American healthcare system isn't that good, and so it's like, dude, fuck, man.
That's a pretty serious surgery, man. I mean, I don't.
Okay. Now my question now, if they can make people taller, can they make them shorter?
I don't
Because
know.
the entire
I mean,
reason.
Thinking about it, like, could you tamp someone down?
Squish
organs, but you're stretching them.
Well, naturally, we get shorter anyway. If you think about it, you know what I'm saying.
I mean,
so that's the truth. We grow
lose
taller.
bone density.
Yeah. But I wonder because it's called heightism. They get made fun of for being short. No, Napoleon complex, I guess. But the fact is, it goes both ways. You can't have one without the other. You can't sit there and say there's, people that are afraid of being short so they can get surgery. You have to be able to go, it's balance, y'all. So I ask any of my medical professionals out there, can you have a surgery to make someone short? I'm curious. I don't want it. I love reaching the top shelf of shit, but I'm curious,
What is the answer you've been given?
Nobody fucking gave me an answer yet. I just came up with the question. So we're about to find out. No, I'm going to research that. I'm generally curious because it was like, if you think about that, so let's say you add 5 inches to a person, okay? That's going to hurt because they've got to stretch muscles and all of that shit. It's painful, okay? Smoke a lot of weed, homie. That's kind of the idea. But like,
it's an incredibly painful elective surgery, in my opinion. But
yeah, and it's elective. So who the fuck's insurance covered anyway? So my point, when they add height, okay, so they got to stretch your muscles, right? When they take height away, they got to cut pieces out.
Yeah. Now you've got me curious. I've never heard of that. I have heard of I don't know anyone personally that's done it, but I have heard of folks being like stretched to be taller, but I didn't.
You mean drawn and quartered?
I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I guess they were stretched somehow.
1875.
I'm just like picturing these like freaking like archaic machines just stretching a person. I don't even know how that would be done.
You got a doctor standing in the second. No, I need you to go that way, 1/4 of an inch. It's a horse. I don't care.
Do it.
I'm a medical professional. He's smoking his marijuana cigarettes. Oh.
Trust me, I went to school for this. We're good.
Where'd you go to school? What? Oh, I digress. But no, it's an interesting concept. It's it's a very interesting, thing. But it points out a couple of stuff to me. One, people are willing to undergo massive amounts of pain because of how they feel internally, whether it's heightism, whatever. Okay. B, people will spend money on damn near anything. Okay. This man saved up all of his money and did this. Okay. And he's in debt, which means people will spend money to do damn near anything. However, I don't think that people understand how important paying taxes is. That's the point of it. Like, it's just like, I want to know where this man, okay, I guess it goes to answer my own question and to build a plane in flight. I think that he had been wanting to do this for quite a few years, and that's like all he put his money towards. That's the only way that would logically make sense to me. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, 15 years ago, old boy's like, oh, I don't want to be short anymore. Then he researches it on the internet. Okay, cool. And then he finds out that, like, oh, I can have this surgery, but it costs a lot of money. And then he starts saving his money. I don't know shit. That's a damn good example of, like, how to save your money. You know what I mean?
I was just, you find something that you value and that motivates you. And I guess for him, that was it. And it was intrinsically motivating enough where, like you said, dude put a lot of money towards something that I guess you and I are just like, okay. But to your point, people will spend money on damn near anything. And if it's of a value to them, sometimes I look at shit people buy and like, why would you spend money on that regularly? But
art is really my question, and then money laundering is usually the answer. But I digress. I want to know about the scene in Connecticut. I find myself like really, really enjoying the fact that Connecticut scene's dope. You know what I'm saying?
No, Connecticut's cool. We're new, I guess you'll say, as far as all of that. But yeah, no, Connecticut scene is cool, and there's always been like a lot of cats that were doing stuff that you just had to be a little quiet about it, right? Because it wasn't legal. So there's, and I don't necessarily want to like blast these names out because again, it's not legal. But there are so many cool events that happen like every weekend where they're bringing in like craft vendors and music and like parties that are really, really fun. And then on top of that, because we're starting to regulate, like right now it's all multi-state operators, but every day, every week I see someone that's like, we just got our provisional license, we might be able to be a delivery service. And these are people that like we're down with, so it's very cool to see people that have been part of this scene from the 90s that are now like getting a foot in the door, because that's what it was supposed to be about. And then, there's a lot of great glass blowers around here. So there's always been like, there's this, I'm going to shout out a store that's similar to mine, but regardless, Stoked is a glass gallery in Connecticut, and they bring in amazing glass artists and do like live demos and stuff. So there's always been like really cool shit in Connecticut. And a running joke is that we're very close to both, Boston and New York. So we can always like get into cool shit that way. It's like, 20 minutes to an hour and we're to something really fun in the vicinity.
Hell yeah. So let's go back to when, just before you came up with the conceptualization or the idea for Sugarleaf. Okay. I want to know, like, put me in the mindset. You're like, I want to do this and we're going to call it Sugarleaf. I want to know the day. Did you come up with the name before? Did you do it after? Like, help me build a business here.
Okay. It was kind of fun. And I say there is not really a linear path to this. I was interested in opening a store for years, but I worked in insurance And it's a huge jump to go from like that cubicle dwelling life with the salary to like being an entrepreneur, you know? I've always been kind of like around glass blowers, but I can't draw a straight line to save my life, you know? But I went out to Las Vegas right before COVID hit. So it was what, 2020, 2021. And, you know, I was walking around and I was talking to vendors and other store owners, and I just really got it in my brain at that point. And then I don't know, I guess the universe was lining up for me because I was laid off twice in like 18 months from the insurance jobs. So I just had like a living meme. I took my stimulus check and I opened a business. So that's kind of what happened. It was just something that I had in the back of my mind for a long time. And there was just like this one night I was sitting there and I was clicking around on my computer and I was like, fuck it, we're going to do it. So I registered the LLC. And then as far as like the actual name for the store, I was debating a couple of things. So my dad passed away from lung cancer in 2011, and I really wanted to incorporate like some elements of my dad in there. He had this epic greenhouse in our backyard, and he would like always just blast music out of it. And he had like a couple hidden plants in there. So I was going to go with the greenhouse, to be honest. But I just really struggled with that one because I thought it might, I don't know. I just didn't know if that was like the right store for like a retail store. And then I was just trying to find something more subtle. And one day I was like, Sugarleaf. Well, that's it. That's the one. So it's like this subtle little homage to my father's greenhouse. And that's how I picked it.
I love it. Now, all you need inside there is like a good picture of the greenhouse.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I do.
You know?
I have like a couple little things like, it's so goofy, but he had this like stuffed elephant named Ellie. So like I have a clothing line in here and there's this giant stuffed elephant that's like my model, you know? So they're like, why do you have a stuffed elephant in here? I'm like, you mind your business.
Mind your business.
You mind your business. There's sentimental
like
value
that.
to that thing.
I think that there's an intrinsic value in everything that we do. It's just over time with social media and let's call it instant gratification, if you will. We've become desensitized to these things. And so I think as we start to pull away from social media, if you will, I think that we start to learn these new emotions and understand that the intrinsic value is worth so much more than we could have ever possibly imagined. And so it's like, you know, with Ellie, with like the pictures of the greenhouse, the things that we do because we want to do them, not because of what we call, and I hate to use bunny ears, but tradition, right? Tradition is just peer pressure from old dead people.
I love that, but you're right. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Peer pressure
well, think about it. Like, you know, back in the day, they were like, oh, you don't want to do that. It's going to bring honor to your house. Fuck the house. Fuck the dog. Fuck your mom. You know what I mean? And that's the truth.
You're not wrong, though. You are not wrong.
You're not my real dad. And run away, you know?
You've got generations of people that won't do shit they want to do just because, like, you know, tradition and honor in the family. It's like...
And now some of those things are illegal for no reason.
And there's that.
You know? So it's like, fuck, man, I can't... One of the, what was it? You can't say damn near anything. Now, I understand there's certain N-words that we just don't drop. Like, that's just, you know, don't say them. That's out of fucking respect, right? But, like, why can't I say gypped anymore? Like, I get it, and, like, I get that it's got... But at the same time, I don't think that gypsies are going to be pissed about it. You know what I'm saying? They're a very rigid people. That's the truth of it. But at the same time, if it is offensive, if anybody finds it offensive... I will apologize and rescind it, of course, but give me a chance to do so. Don't just get fucking pissed on behalf of somebody who's not pissed, right?
That one is a tough line because even I've adopted things where I'll be like, oh, don't say that. It's offensive. And then the folks you think you're trying to not offend, they're like, we never cared.
Yeah.
So that one's, you know, to your point, everyone... I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. If I fuck up and I say something that's offensive to you, please tell me because I'll feel like an asshole and I probably won't do it again, you know, so, you know, that's just, and I get that it's not everyone's labor to educate you. There's some things we just know we shouldn't say, but there's some that you just don't, you know, you don't know until you know.
This is true. This is true. I'll agree with that. Tolerance is a word, you know, that we could use here, but at the same time, like, and there is certain things that there's certain people out there, political activists, whatnot, where I don't find myself having a conversation with them ever, and I'll explain why. They would go out of their way to disrespect you, to validate and prove their point, and piss all over you. That's so you're willing to go to the point of disrespecting me and devaluing me victimizing yourself to further prove your point and your narrative. That actually says quite a bit about you.
I can't disagree with you, actually.
You
and
know?
we were saying this before. Like, I
Yeah.
like politics. I play, but both sides of the aisle have a tendency to do that, and it's infuriating.
It is.
And I'll just say, like, I card carrying Democrat. I picked my
Sure,
team or whatever. We're brutal to each other. Like, I
Yes.
say that all the time. I get
Yeah.
attacked more harshly by my own people than anyone else. So sometimes, like, if someone's like bantering with me or trolling
Yeah.
or whatever, I'm sitting
Yeah.
there like, this is funny to me because you don't understand where it, like, your own people are the worst for exactly what you just said, to prove a point or a narrative. Sometimes
Yeah.
they will absolutely drown you, and you're like, I agreed with you. To some degree, I agreed with you, and I no longer do.
I don't consider myself a Democrat. I don't consider myself a Republican. And I do not consider myself a liberal. As a matter of fact, when people call me a liberal, it actually pisses me off because don't, why do you feel the need to label me politically? Okay. If you really want to know, here's the answer, and it's going to upset most. I am stuck in America.
That's
If you really
fair.
want to be, if that is the truth, if you want to be that pedantic about it, I'm stuck in America. Well, then leave. Did you not just hear what the fuck I just said?
Stuck.
Stuck. The first fucking word, for some reason, you decided to jump over, which tells me everything about you paying attention. But well, then leave. That doesn't. There's so much circular logic there that it's not even funny. And I watch these people just run in circles all day. And more to your point, it is Democrats attacking Democrats. It is Republicans attacking Republicans. But at the end of, and liberals, they're peppered in there.
Whatever, just
Fuck them. But at the end of the day, any one of those motherfuckers, man, woman, even child nowadays, would flip for money.
I don't agree with that part. Not all of them.
Okay.
I mean, maybe. Money is very motivating, and I think anyone that says that they have no price, you're kind of full of shit. Everyone's got
100%.
a price.
I agree.
Some folks' price is higher than others. I don't know, though. And I think maybe at a national level it gets worse. I think small town,
I agree with
even
that.
at a
You know
state
what?
level.
I agree with that. Yep. I've investigated too many politicians openly, so it's kind of.
And there's that, and
Yeah.
I'll joke. I'm like, I'm an idealist. I tend to put, and I have friends that are like, you're putting too much faith in these people.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I really have so much faith in them. And it's disappointing when people are humans, and humans are fucked up. Inherently,
And here's the fucked up part. Like, so let's go back to money real quick. Let's say that what I said, not that it is 100% true. That's just something that I have noticed. Okay.
Debatable,
So it's
yeah.
it's an opinion. Let's say that was true. Let's say that, that's just the way she goes, right? Or he, or however you want to genderify that statement. That's fine. The point is, money in America is pointless. I'll explain. So
Okay.
most of how the world views us, they view through the 1%, because the 1% love to brag and boast. Okay. They spend money on this. They spend money on that. They control the news, if you will. There's narratives there. There's shows. Let's be honest here, okay? So the entire GDP of America also, it gets thrown off because of that 1%. Now remember, it's an average. So the more left field shit that you have, the worse that average is going to be thrown off. So the numbers projected aren't the actual numbers, which is why the United States government thinks that people that make $11 an hour can afford this, that, and the other.
I can't argue with any of that, because you're absolutely right.
So here's what we could do. And now the entire world has dropped the United States dollar. It's worthless across the world now. They say it's 80 cents to it or whatever. They started to use the rupee over the dollar. Okay. Which means if I go to a different country, they're not going to accept my American currency. Some might, who knows? But by the standards and the news that we're receiving, that's not the case, okay? Which means the American dollar has depreciated in value because we did this thing called inflation.
Again, I cannot disagree with you.
Instead of, and this is a Democrat and a Republican issue. So this is an American
this is just
issue.
economics. This
Correct.
is facts.
Correct. So instead of increasing, you know, wages and shit like that and doing what we should have done diligently on the inside for our infrastructure, we decided for some reason to give out a bunch of money that we didn't fucking have. Okay. Stimulus checks. And then ask for that money back. People aren't going to pay it. And then here's the real problem. Okay. You expected all of these business owners and these 1%ers to take out triple P loans and actually pay them back while openly giving them tax incentive write-offs to not pay it back. You thought that weren't going to tank the economy. Okay.
Yeah. The stimulus checks I was in support of. I think that
Well,
like cash
well, here's-
but
it proved that we need to do a cash injection to the economy to stimulate it, and it worked.
yes.
Which is why they call it a stimulus check. I know. I'm not an idiot. It depends on how much weed I smoke. The point is, you're absolutely right. But it did prove this. We could forgive student debt. We could forgive debt entirely. We could pay people to live each month as American citizens, and it wouldn't break the bank.
Yep.
Want to know why? Because money doesn't fucking exist. It's made up. So
It's
if
like
money...
monopoly money. The whole
Correct.
stock market is monopoly money.
Correct. Now, hang on a second. Now, the government, the Cash App guy's dead. Oh, they've got a fucking patsy. Oh, now they're rolling out Fed Now, and it's all going to go to digital currency. That's pretty fucking shady. I'm sorry. If you're going to want to pay me, I take cash. Cash is
digital
king.
currency. I
don't like it.
I was to say, I don't know how to phrase this. I don't know if I don't like it. I don't understand it. I don't trust it. But there is something about it. I am not an early adopter. I haven't done anything with any of it. I barely understand it. I've had conversations about like Dogecoin and Bitcoin. You know what I mean?
When I say digital currency, I don't mean stock market. So let me sever that real quick. And I'm not going to try and mansplain this, but I'm just going to try and annihilate what I have. Right? Sorry. I think it's funny. The whole term, you know, I love it when feminists go, don't mansplain that to me. Well, that's sexist as shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want me to be equal, it depends on the man. I'll be honest with you. If they're being condescending like that, that's the truthful.
Depends on the delivery and depends on the topic. But yeah.
Hey, I'll fist pound that fucking shit. Hell yeah, that's the truth. Like, you know, hell yeah. Be respectful to everyone, right? Anyway, I'm sorry. I was just trying to be funny. The point is,
solid delivery. You're fine.
Right. Yeah. So let's go back a little bit, okay? Tell me when you got your first paycheck at your first ever job. Like whatever year it was, you got your first paycheck, you're proud, you're going to go cash your check. Tell me about that check.
Tell you about it? It was probably very small. I was 15.
Doesn't matter the amount.
I don't remember. I was 15 years old. I worked at a fast food restaurant. I was very excited. I think I made like $4 an hour or something.
There it is.
I was probably cashing checks that were like $200. But no, yeah, I remember I worked at Frankie's hot dog stand. Yep. I was very stoked.
Okay, first and foremost, fucking hot dog sounds great right now. Let me just tell you.
And fried broccoli, that shit was.
But let's I love that. I love that actually. Now I'm hungry. But let's go back to the paycheck. So you get your paycheck in hand. What do you do with it? You have this piece of paper right here saying this is. Oh yeah, by the way, go buy True Cook shit. You have your paycheck here. It says pay to the order of, right? You have your hours and all of that. What do you do with this piece of paper to get your money from it?
I mean, this feels like a loaded question, but you write your name on the back and you walk to the bank.
You cash your check.
Yeah.
Think about that. You cash your check. You're turning this piece of paper into cash.
Into dollars.
Correct. Okay. Now, why can't, and it's very acceptable when you sit down, and this is what people don't know, especially in the kitchen. I was a hired knife. I'd be like, listen, my price is this, this, and this with benefits, this, and this for no benefits, and this, and this cash. If I'm a good business person, you see what I'm saying? That's my point. It's my paycheck, and I can negotiate that. Well, it doesn't matter. You can still write me off in taxes. You can still take taxes out of me, but that's my cash price. You see, and that's what people don't understand. And if you don't want to do that, fine. Then I'll just give you my LLC, and now you can pay my company. You know, so it's people need to negotiate their shit. But you cash your paycheck, going back to my point, okay? And it's interesting that we should call it a cash your paycheck. You take your check to your bank. Now, here's the interesting part. Once you deposit your check into your bank, it becomes digital currency, does it not?
Okay. Yeah. You're
You
looking
see what
at
I'm
a
saying?
bank balance. You're just seeing a
Correct.
number. It's a digital. Okay.
Correct.
I'm with
Now,
you.
let's say that you had, I don't know, $9,000 in that bank account that you wanted in cash, right?
Okay.
Let's say you had $20,000 in your bank. So you have more than enough money in that bank, in that institution, to pull your money out. Tell me why you can't go, I would like $9,000 in cash, please.
I already knew where you were going with this.
They don't have it on them.
Thing. They don't have it on them.
Well,
you have
hang
to
on,
schedule a
hang on.
meeting. And they
Correct.
do, but they don't.
Correct. They are FDIC insured. Okay. FDIC insurance, and this is why they push for memberships, you know what I'm saying, is each and every membership. How many members do you have? And each account has an FDIC policy for up to $250,000 on it. That means if you have $251,000, you could lose money.
Correct.
Now, how are you going to lose money like that if it's not digital currency? Yeah. If we just kept in cash and bank did it like they did back in the days and they stored the dollar bills away like they do in fucking Vegas, you know, with the slot machines and all of that shit, we've seen Ocean's 11. If we did it that same way, the way we're supposed to, they couldn't rob us and you would be able to get $9,000 in cash because they would have it. So let me get this straight. I gave you my money and you moved my money without my permission.
Well, technically we gave permission because we probably signed some bullshit form when we got the account. But yes, you're right.
But here's the problem. So if that is the case, nowhere in their paperwork does it say that they will be moving the money. A, it's just implied. Okay.
Implied.
A,
That's true.
that's indirect. That shows a discourse.
That's
that shows
true.
the intent. Okay. A, B, going on from there, you have to notify people when you move their shit. For example, if I want to come to your house, if I want to come to your store and move something, I'm going to fucking ask you first, right?
I should certainly hope so.
Exactly. If someone reaches into your fridge, do you not ask first?
No,
all right, then. So when it comes to money, everyone having a price, okay, and everyone worrying about money, I think that it would be more than just considered a professional courtesy at that point to let me know you're moving my fucking money.
More than a You're not wrong. You're absolutely not wrong. And we have just I guess, tradition or whatever. We've accepted these implied situations, and it's like, why? And I get it that, you know, the loans and the housing industry, you know, but I'm saying it like that's just ridiculous because full circle, they're moving your money to fund another thing and then moving it over there. And that's exactly why the whole
how's that not money laundering?
2008.
It is.
Yeah, I never looked at it like that, but it's
so
kind
wait
of
a minute.
laundering on a
You're
very
telling me
large
that
scale.
you're telling me that the banks and government tell me that I can't money launder while they're currently money laundering.
I never
For
looked
example,
at it like that.
now hang on. Now, you're telling me that I can't smoke weed while y'all been smoking weed this entire time. Y'all tell me that I can't research weed or cook with it when y'all be doing this entire time. No, we haven't. Then why did you have patents on it?
Right.
You know, how come you were ready for this, you know, and things like that. My point is, you know, this goes down to the consumer. It goes from the consumer on, I wouldn't say the street, but I say the street because I imagine them walking down Main Street to your shop, right? And they procure whatever, and then that money, let's say pennies or whatever, trickles back to certain companies. Whether it's you paying the state, whether it's you paying the federal government taxes, that's my point. I'm not saying that, you know, MSOs or anything, but it's Reaganomics, if you will.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But you get my point. Businesses, regardless.
Yes.
All of that trickles in. Taxes, fees, you get the idea, you know? And so sometimes we have to levy in our mind, is it going to be worth it? And so that's why I wanted to know about Sugarleaf being started. That's why I wanted to know where the name came from. I wanted to know like the LLC part, because that shit is important to me. That shit shows me that you see this intrinsic value. Okay, you were given this chance, you were given this opportunity, and you took the fucking plunge, man. You were like, fuck it, I'm only jumping off a cliff once in my life.
You know, good line of questioning to get there for what it's worth, too. It's like, yeah, exactly. I was like, you only get one chance. And I guess funny thing, too, point in time, I had a therapist, and I was sitting there, you know, we were doing our telehealth calls from the car, and it was just like in this soul-crushing moment of like, I don't want to do what I'm doing. I worked for very corporate entities. I had no passion for what I was doing. I hated it. I mean, my job was to not pay people's claims for small businesses. It was awful. It felt awful. And so, yeah, just talking to her, and that was exactly it. Like, on your deathbed, are you going to regret having tried and maybe it just didn't shake out the way you wanted it to, or like have never tried and just lived your whole life being like, this is soul crushing. And that was it for me. You can't live your whole life doing things that don't make you happy. And you can't live your life doing things that hurt other people, and even though it was just a job, my job was shitty. I'm being very honest. Like, I felt like my job was just shitty and I didn't help people.
It was interesting because my girlfriend's a research assistant, okay, and she's doing a lot of research with cannabis and stuff right now. You can't really talk about that all too much, but, you get the idea. So with that being said, she got a job offer from another pharmaceutical company that shall remain nameless, and it was a very great offer, very generous offer. They've got the money. She showed me the email. She showed me all of that. And I was like, hey, you would be silly to turn that down. Like, whatever. She's like, I can't do it. I know what this is. I just can't do it. So I was like, okay, and so, I mean, no one's mad about it, like it or anything of that nature. But at the same time, like, I respect that, man. I appreciate her not wanting to do that. She's like, I smoke way too much weed to work for this company. You know what I mean? And so I was like, fair enough. But we don't need to.
No. And honestly, that's great. Because we were saying before, like, everyone's got a price, but everyone's price is different. And her price was clearly not that. And that's, you know what I mean? Like, awesome. Because more people need to do that. We can't have like good folks always pharmaceutical companies. Fine. I'm not against modern medicine. I find value in it. I mentioned
some
my
of it's
father had
need.
cancer. Some of it's there's a need, and some of it is just poison that gives us terrible side effects. We'll circle back to what Cole said. You know what I mean? Like, cannabis gives us happiness, and that shit. We've all seen the commercials. It's like, oh, are you sleepy? Take this pill. Side effects may, and then there's this long list of shit that you're like, oh my god. Yeah.
I'm going to piss myself, puke, shit myself, and then die.
Right? Like heart palpitations. I might die. I'm going to lose a toe. But like, hey, at least you can sleep better. What?
It's like, hey, man, I was just taking aspirin. What the fuck do you mean you got to take my leg?
I had migraines and they turned me into a human guinea pig. I pulled myself off of all of it. And I mean, I had always smoked anyway, but I talked to someone that was actually telling me like, kind of more like microdose, like smaller bong hits, and it'll help with the migraines. That was freaking life-changing for me.
Yep.
So
do you know about wild lettuce?
No.
It's going to blow your mind.
Funny?
No, we're not being funny. No, wild lettuce is 100% a thing. So wild lettuce, you can go out and get it because it's not considered. It's a foliage. It's a weed. You know what I mean?
Okay.
There's no regulations on it, none whatsoever. But the Indians used to use it. Excuse me, not Indians. That was really rude of me. Sorry, indigenous people. My bad, y'all. Well, I'm sorry. Indigenous people. They used to use it as a natural morphine.
Interesting.
I'll tell you how to make it. Here we go. Check it out. So you go out, you find wild lettuce, Google that shit, go find it. Okay, get it. About 50 leaves or so, blend that shit up, throw it into a pot, cover it just above with water, and boil the piss out of it. All right, take that and strain it. It's going to be green as fuck, and that's what you want. You strain it, throw the, the meaty stuff, throw it away. No big deal. You're done with that. Take that liquid and then reduce it down to a syrup-like consistency. Use that syrup as you would like, cough syrup or whatever. It's better than morphine.
No shit. This was like a combination science cooking class. That was awesome.
Yeah. Well, I'm a very
that's cool. I like stuff like that. Like holistic.
I'm a very holistic individual. Yeah.
I like that a lot.
I appreciate that. Like it's I can't take credit for it. The indigenous, did it. The Viking did it. The Norse.
I've never heard of that before.
Yeah. I'll definitely have to get it to you. It's pretty neat. And then dandelions, you can eat those.
I was just going to say, you were making me think of my grandmother. My family's from northern Maine. I don't know if that's relevant, but like they were very much so. My grandma would go out in the backyard and pick dandelions and put them in her salad every day. She just we lived with my grandmother. Velma. I'm just like envisioning this like 85-year-old lady with white curly hair picking dandelions, but she ate them every day. She just swore by it.
Was it the white curly Q-tip hair?
Yes.
Shut up.
I mean, she was like a grandma straight out of the cartoons.
That's perfect. My grandma Sharon. So my grandma Sharon wasn't technically my grandmother. She was my uncle's grandmom, and my uncle was like married into the family, but it's the same. You know what I mean? Yes, and I really liked her because she was a Q-tip old lady. That's really what it was.
I love that. Yeah, the Q-tip old lady. Yep.
I remember one day I was like 15 or 16, and she passed away like the night of my open house in high school. She died, so it was kind of a somber moment. You know what I mean? And it sucked, but c'est la vie. You know, she's in a better place. She was so sweet, but her name was Sharon. I remember I went over to her apartment, and I just came over. I was just like, I came by to say hi, Grandma. You know, I was supposed to go to work, but like, you know, something happened. The water was fucked, or the bathrooms, or we couldn't open. So, you know, whatever. So I went and hung out with her. And I remember giggling with her and laughing and just saying something. I was like, Grandma, you look like a dirty Q-tip. She's like, you leave my fucking Q-tip alone. And hearing my grandmother say fuck for the first time. Oh, man, that was
like, oh, shit, Gram swears.
I was just like, Grandma. She's like, what the fuck do you expect? She's like, I'm 80-something. You're good. You're good. It's just me, you, and her.
Lose the filter, right?
Yeah, she had this little teacup poodle, like little tiny thing, and it was named Angel. Okay, Angel was amazing, but you had to help her get on the couch because she wasn't, you know, she was old. And I remember the day that Angel passed away, man. I came over and she's like, I was like, Grandma, what's up? Because she called me, you know, back when cell phones were like, do, 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 do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I you know. It was that or the call of the Valkyrie. Anyway, so
it's like a flashback.
Exactly. While playing Snake, you know, it kicked over and whatever. I was like, Grandma. She's like, and I could hear Grandma crying, and I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? She's like, you just you need to come over, and I'm like, okay, sure. And come to find out, she called everybody else, but they're busy, right? And so I went over and I looked down, and I instantly knew because I saw her little paws, and I saw the, you know, she's like, I need you to help me here. And so I did. I helped Grandma, you know, and it was really rough, man, you know, losing her. But at the same time, I do not doubt in my mind that she smoked weed, period.
Yeah.
She was a restaurant worker for the longest time. And then she worked in adult foster care for the last, I think, decade of her life or so as a server type of thing. And so it was kind of part-time while she's getting her benefits. Everything was fucking great. You know, but I think that she would be proud of what we're doing. You know, she loved her weed. And I'm really proud of what's happening in Connecticut. I'm really proud of what's happening, you know, across the fucking nation and even in the world. Germany's legal now.
I saw that, which is, you know, sometimes you're like, oh, that's cool when I'm like hyper focused on Connecticut or the U.S. or whatever. But you forget that, like, it's a fucking plant.
It's a country. Yeah.
You know, it's just a plant. And Germany's a huge country. That's a big deal.
So I was looking at this GDP thing too, just looking around. And so what they did was they took countries of the world and compared them to the same amount of GDP for a state of the United States. Okay. Why does this, I'll get to why it's relevant here shortly. I have to get to it though. But in Michigan, it was equivalent to Argentina. Now, much to the point that we were making earlier, that's an entire fucking country.
Yeah.
So we have the GDP just in Michigan of an entire fucking country. That's my point. Okay.
Interesting.
It is. It very much is. And I think it was actually Forbes that did this, but I didn't look at any other fucking state because who gave a shit? I was being selfish, fine, right? I didn't have a reason to at that point, but it put into perspective something for me. How can we comparatively do that in an analysis when the value of the dollar has actually devalued itself? How are those numbers accurate then? Or did we do that after devaluing the dollar on a worldwide basis? Because technically, money in fucking Argentina would be worth more than money in America.
No, that's actually interesting. You'd have to look at, yeah, you know, now I'm going to end up going down this rabbit hole looking at when they pulled this data and what they were comparing, like.
Exactly.
Sometimes that's too, I'm like, anyone can throw a statistic out there, but you've got to look at one, like who did the survey or the study or whatever, because they could have tried to get to a certain result to prove a point. And then the other one too is like which data was pulled. If they used it from a year ago, that's going to be very different from today. Or even a couple of months ago would be very different from today.
In addition to, you know, the over-economicized 1%ers, you know, in America that don't speak for the 99%. So you're taking these inaccurate numbers and projecting inaccurate data for an inaccurate narrative. Honestly, to me, it just makes me think that, like, I mean, here's the truth. It's what I posted a couple of days ago, and you liked it, I think. If you think that the news is fake, imagine what happened to history.
Yes.
So
that was a hard one to, yes.
It's the truth, though. So if you look
is.
at peer pressure, tradition, quote unquote, being peer pressure from dead people, you look at the fact that history could or could not. So why the fuck should I listen to anything that they're telling me? How come I believe anything? That is the truth. Not to mention, do we need to talk about Catholics and what happened out of fucking Boston? Like that's a good thing to talk about too. Okay. Oh, that's not enough. What about the Dalai Lama? Yeah. So anything that y'all are deeming good and factual is actually blowing up in your face. Me, as I'm an anarchist. Okay, I love this shit. This is fucking great. Every conspiracy theory that I have ever was like, it's fucking becoming true. So it's like, holy shit. Just let me smoke weed and that's all I want to do. That's it. And slowly but surely they're allowing me to do this. But I do want to thank you for coming on. I appreciate the insight a little bit, if you will, for Connecticut. I think that Connecticut sounds like a place that I definitely want to visit. I definitely want to make it to Connecticut, man. That'd be dope as fuck.
Yeah, that would be really dope. We should do that.
I think that'd be awesome as fuck. But I wouldn't. It wouldn't be the Daily Chronicles if I didn't ask you at least one of our in-house questions.
I'm ready.
I know which one I want to do, and I think that I think you know which one I want to do.
I think I do too.
So without any other further ado,
Get ready for Lie to Me.
this question is the most nefarious question on the Daily Chronicles. I think that I would be remiss if I didn't go an episode without doing it. I love this question so much because it's thought-provoking to say the very least. So, welcome to Lie to Me. Kristin, if you're ready, lie to me. Standing 180 degrees from your life right now. Turn around, look as far back into your past, as far as you need to. What is one lie of your past that you have told, gotten away with, but knew you shouldn't have?
All right. This one's embarrassing and stupid, but we were all kids at one point. And it's just kind of funny, right? So I was, I think, 15, and some friends of mine, we were smoking weed at the playground or something, and the cops showed up and we all ran, but my dumb ass left my backpack behind with a bunch of weed and a bowl and all this identifying information. So now the cops had my bag and everything to do with me. And I had to tell my mom, but you can't tell your mother that. So I lied and said that my shit had been stolen. And then when the police called me down to the station, I had to there was this sheet of paper with everything that was in it, and it's bowl, eighth, this, that, and the other. I'm my bag was stolen. The thieves must have put all that shit in there. And I somehow got away with that. I did not get in trouble with the police or my mom. And I mean, granted, I know you shouldn't have done that. I mean, I probably shouldn't have been forgetting my shit and running from the cops at 15 anyway, but that's besides the point. So that's the one that if mom watches this, she's going to be super pissed, but it's a long time ago and it was dumb. That's very embarrassing. And full circle, I was like, is that going to be street cred that I ran from the cops?
Okay, first and foremost, it absolutely does give you street cred. Yeah, it's not even on the question. I mean, because there's the thing. If you want to drop a rap album in the latter 90s, you have to be arrested for it to take off in sales, right? So, it's just running from... Okay, all right. Plus, name a teenager that hasn't ran from the cops. I'm sorry. And
sometimes I'll pop off about this and be like, you just shouldn't have ran. We all fucking ran. We were all at hotel parties where the cops showed up and you booked fast. We all did it if you were down. If
you run in a zigzag pattern, they get confused.
You can't hit it, you know what I mean? Just be a zigzaggy target,
They shoot like stormtroopers unless you're really close. Listen, I don't, we talk about guns a little bit, with that, but I don't know, running's probably not a good idea with a person with a firearm. You know what I mean? That just,
yeah.
I don't know. But at the same time, not all police officers need firearms.
I was
whatever. But I think that that's a very, revealing story. It does give you street cred, at least on the Daily Chronicles. You didn't have to embarrass yourself, but you did anyway. So here we are.
Yeah, fuck it. That's my style.
But I appreciate it. I do. And that's the divisive nature of that question. Allows a little bit of introspection. No one's perfect. And honestly, you get a little street cred.
Tiny bit.
But, I look at it as a very esoteric question. I like it.
Yeah.
People, it's fun to think about your past a little bit, and it's a little cheeky, so, it's a good question that we like to toss in there. I don't know. I liked that answer. I really do. And yes, again, like that's probably the most street credful answer we've ever got thus far. Fuck the establishment. Sorry, that was a terrible appropriation of your voice, but
I love it.
I feel like though, like you didn't lose, like they took your shit though, didn't they? Took your weed, they took your bowl and everything, or did
they
you get
sure
it back?
did. Yeah, I did not get that back.
All right, that's all they took though.
Yeah, that's all they took.
They knew it was your backpack then.
I absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. That was what.
Like,
That's.
I mean, unless, but there was just my work. I don't know. The whole time I'm just like, and I'll be like, I was scared. Like I said, I'm 5'3". I was from like a suburb in Connecticut. You know what I mean? My mom was in there with me, just like livid. I'm like, it was scary.
She's mad because it's her weed.
She's all, oh no, my mom was not
kidding.
down. My dad was.
See, it's funny because I thought my mom wasn't down, and when come to find out, my mom was the most down.
Oh, funny.
You know what I'm saying? And so, like, just real quick, I got caught smoking my first time by my dad, and he said, "Don't tell your mom," while my mom was smoking the entire time.
Ha! Did he know?
Yes.
That's great. That's fantastic.
My dad was like, "Listen, if she smokes weed, she's fine. If she drinks, beer, she's fine." Then she became a raging alcoholic, and it wasn't fine. But this isn't.
Fine, but that's different.
Hey, she beat it, man. She beat it. She beat alcoholism. And
that's awesome.
She didn't drink for the last decade of her life, so that worked out great. But
that's huge.
I like the Connecticut scene. I like what what I'm hearing. I definitely want to come out there and visit sometime for sure. I think that there's an East Coast tour coming up sometime. We've been talking about the last few years, but it's actually coming to fruition. So I look forward to coming to Connecticut, and I do appreciate you coming on the show today.
Well, thank you so much. This was fun.
Absolutely. Well, all of my tokers, my jokers, my smokers, we'll catch y'all on the other side. Again, I want to thank my special guest, Miss Kristin Souza from the Sugarleaf in Middletown, Connecticut. Y'all go check her out. That website one more time. Sugarleaf CT it's just sugarleafct.com. I don't know what the fucking ad is, but sugarleafct.com. Y'all go check it out. Tokers, jokers, smokers. We'll catch you guys on the flip. Peace.